Welcome to the History Stories podcast. Forget those dusty textbooks because we're about to embark on another historic road trip into a truly bizarre tale unearthed from history.
It really is a strange one.
Today, we're heading to the murky wartime docks of America to unravel the enigma that is the Philadelphia experiment. We've got a stack of history books and uncovered sources hinting at, well, impossible science and some seriously chilling outcomes.
And our mission on this historic road trip, as you said, is to navigate this confusing historical landscape for you. We want to try and separate what we could actually verify from the fiction that seems to endure.
Right, and really dig into why this, wait, what, moment from history continues to fascinate people so much.
Think of us as your guides as we explore this unsettling story together. We'll start by laying out the core of the legend itself. Then look at the environment, the context that allowed it to take root.
Makes sense.
We'll examine the various attempts to explain it, the theories. And finally, consider its surprising impact on our culture.
So, by the end of this historic road trip, everyone should have a solid grasp of the Philadelphia experiment, not just the sensational claims, but the reality or, the lack thereof behind them.
Exactly. And why this story still holds such a strange power. So, buckle up, I guess. Let's get started.
Yeah.
The initial hook of this story is just wild, isn't it?
It really is. October 28th, 1943, Philadelphia Naval Shipyard. The USS Eldridge, a real destroyer escort.
A real ship, cannon class.
Yep.
DE-173.
And it just vanishes, according to the legend, anyway.
Right. It's almost a scene ripped from a sci-fi flick. The legend tells of this sickly green fog rolling in.
Oh, yeah, the fog.
A weird whine coming from the generators, and then poof, the ship is just gone.
Gone, leaving only disturbed water behind. It's the kind of detail that really grabs your attention, makes you wonder what on earth could have happened.
It does have that immediate dramatic impact. What's fascinating here is how quickly the legend escalates,
Yeah.
Not only does it supposedly vanish from Philadelphia, but moments later, it reappears hundreds of miles away in Norfolk, Virginia.
Norfolk.
Wow. Hangs out for a bit, apparently, and then reappears back in Philadelphia.
That's physically impossible, surely.
Well, yeah. And that's when the truly disturbing part of the story kicks in, with the alleged horrific consequences for the crew.
We're talking about some seriously gruesome stuff, right? I've read accounts.
Oh, definitely. Sailors supposedly fused with the metal of the ship, others driven to utter madness, some just completely disappearing into thin air.
And the story attributes this to, what, some kind of electromagnetic field?
Exactly. Generated by the ship, supposedly based on Einstein's unified field theory, which is a whole other can of worms.
Right.
All in an attempt to make the Eldridge invisible to radar, or maybe even visually undetectable.
That's the core, the real attention-grabbing element.
It is. And if you connect this to the climate at the time, World War II, rapid tech advancements happening in secret.
For total secrecy.
You can start to see why a story like this, however outlandish, might gain traction later on. The idea of a secret weapon, an invisibility cloak for a warship.
It would have been a massive game changer. Absolutely massive.
Definitely. Now, before we get too deep into the what-ifs, let's try and establish what we actually know to be true from our history books and uncovered sources.
Good idea. Ground ourselves. What are the confirmed facts in this whole strange story?
Yeah, it's crucial to anchor ourselves in reality here. We know for certain that the USS Eldridge, DE-173, was a real United States Navy ship. That's fact.
Okay.
It was commissioned in August of 1943. We also have extensive records showing that the U.S. Navy was indeed conducting a variety of scientific experiments during World War II. That's not surprising.
Like what kind of experiments?
Well, degaussing, for instance. That was a process to reduce a ship's magnetic signature to protect it from magnetic mines. Standard procedure, really.
Okay, makes sense.
And there was also significant research into radar invisibility techniques, looking at different materials, hull shapes, trying to minimize radar detection.
So radar invisibility, not necessarily visual invisibility.
Yeah. Exactly. Big difference. And of course, Philadelphia and Norfolk were major active naval bases during the war. That's also confirmed.
So we have the real ship, real scientific endeavors, though maybe not that kind, and real locations. It sets a plausible stage for something to have happened, maybe.
It provides a backdrop, yeah. But then we compare that to the extraordinary claims, the green fog, the teleportation across state lines, the crew members being fused to the ship.
Right, that's where the verifiable information just stops.
Pretty much. The verifiable info ends and the legend really takes over. When you look at contemporary accounts from 1943, official Navy documents, even news reports from the time.
Nothing.
There's absolutely no corroboration for these dramatic events, zero.
Mm-hmm.
And the Eldridge's own logbook, which we should definitely talk more about,
Yeah.
it places the ship far from Philadelphia on the date of the alleged experiment. Like, not even close.
Okay, that's a pretty big hole in the story right there.
It's a fundamental problem. If an event of this magnitude, especially with such horrific consequences, had truly occurred, wouldn't there be some official record beyond these later, anecdotal claims?
You'd think so. It's hard to imagine something that big being completely scrubbed, especially with the alleged human costs.
Exactly. Which really makes you wonder, why has this bizarre and unsettling story stuck around for so long? What is it about the Philadelphia experiment that continues to capture people's imaginations?
That is the enduring puzzle, isn't it?
It seems to tap into several deep-seated anxieties and fascinations. As you pointed out, the backdrop of World War II.
Yeah, the secrecy, the tech race.
Right. It creates fertile ground for speculation about secret weapons, unimaginable possibilities. Then you add the element of sci-fi horror technology going wrong in terrifying ways.
The Frankenstein complex, almost.
Kind of, yeah, with devastating effects on individuals. And finally, there's that persistent suspicion of government and the military conducting clandestine experiments without public knowledge or consent.
That old chestnut. The secret government cover-up.
It's a powerful and unsettling combination of themes. Hits a lot of buttons.
It does, and it's fascinating to see how this legend actually came to be, because, like we said, this wasn't some immediate sensation in 1943.
Not at all. It took more than a decade for the story to really take shape and enter the public consciousness.
So World War II ends, we enter the atomic age, anxieties are high.
Exactly. And then in the mid-1950s, the seeds of the Philadelphia experiment legend are sown. It starts with a book by Morris K. Jessup.
A case for the UFO. Right?
That's the one. Jessup was an astronomer, actually, who got interested in UFOs.
Okay, so Jessup is writing about UFOs, and then he starts receiving these strange letters from someone calling himself Carlos Miguel Allende.
Precisely. Who was later identified as Carl Meredith Allen. Quite a character, apparently.
And what exactly did these letters claim? What did Allende or Allen say he witnessed?
Allen's letters are really the crucial starting point for the Philadelphia experiment story as we know it. He claimed to have been a witness.
From where?
From the deck of the SS Andrew Furuseth, a merchant ship that he stated was near the Eldridge in Philadelphia on that supposed day.
Okay.
He described in detail the green fog engulfing the destroyer escort, the ship disappearing, then reappearing in Norfolk and back in Philly. And, crucially, the gruesome effects on the crew.
The fused bodies and madness stuff.
Yeah. And importantly, Allen linked these events to either alien technology or a dangerous and misunderstood application of Einstein's unified field theory by the Navy.
Wow. So these letters themselves are already quite extraordinary, but the story takes another really odd turn with the involvement of the Office of Naval Research, the ONR.
Yes, this is a pivotal aspect.
Yeah.
It significantly fueled the later cover-up theories. It's kind of weird.
What happened?
Jessup received a copy of his own book, The Case for the UFO, in the mail. But it was addressed to the ONR.
Strange.
And this copy was covered in handwritten annotations, of multiple colored inks, supposedly from 3 different individuals calling themselves Mr. A, Mr. B, and Gemma.
Seriously? Like different personalities?
That's how it appeared. And these annotations not only seem to confirm Allen's account of the Eldridge incident, but also delved into even more esoteric subjects, advanced physics, UFO propulsion, secret cosmic knowledge, you name it.
And the ONR actually showed some level of interest in this. They didn't just toss it in the bin as, the work of a crank.
That's the really intriguing part. For reasons that are still debated, maybe bureaucratic curiosity, maybe a psychological study, maybe checking for weird leaks, the ONR did contact Jessup. Even more surprisingly, they commissioned a small private printing of this annotated version of his book. It became known as the Vero edition.
The Vero edition, okay.
And this action, even if it had a mundane explanation, was interpreted by many as proof. Proof that the Navy knew far more than they were admitting and that Jessup had stumbled onto something big and dangerous.
Yeah, I can absolutely see how that could be interpreted as confirmation by those already inclined to believe. Like, why would they print it otherwise?
Exactly. It just poured fuel on the fire.
Yeah.
So, bringing us to the present day, where does the Philadelphia experiment stand? It's still talked about, right? Still pops up.
Oh, definitely. You see it online in documentaries?
Absolutely. Despite being thoroughly debunked by mainstream science and historical evidence, like those pesky ship logs,
Yeah.
the Philadelphia experiment has become, firmly entrenched in American folklore.
And conspiracy culture.
And the broader conspiracy culture, yes. It acts as a key reference point when people discuss UFOs, clandestine government ops, suppressed tech, hidden physics.
All that stuff, the dangers of science run amok.
Precisely. For many, it represents the ultimate cautionary tale of a secret experiment gone horribly, horribly wrong.
Okay, let's dig deeper then. Let's unravel some of the specific theories that have been put forward to explain what might have happened or, what people believe happened.
Sounds good.
Theory number 1, the Allen account. This is the classic legend, right? The full-blown electromagnetic invisibility, the teleportation.
Right, this is the version that really captured the public imagination. It's dramatic, it's terrifying. The idea of a warship not only becoming invisible, but instantaneously traveling hundreds of miles.
With those horrific consequences for the crew.
Yeah, all thanks to a misapplication of cutting-edge science, supposedly Einstein's unified field theory. Believers often point to Allen's letters and that annotated Jessup book as their primary evidence.
Like hidden coded messages or something.
Something like that. They believe they hold hidden truths about advanced physics, maybe alien tech. Early UFO enthusiasts, readers of Jessup, and later writers like Charles Berlitz, conspiracy theorists, they ran with this.
But as we touched on earlier, the credibility of this theory, when you look at the actual verifiable facts, it's pretty much zero, isn't it?
Yeah, overwhelmingly so. Allen's accounts, when you actually examine them, were riddled with inconsistencies. He changed his story. There were demonstrable falsehoods.
And his personal background.
He had a documented history of, instability and a tendency to embellish things dramatically. And crucially, as we've mentioned, the official logs of the USS Eldridge. They place it nowhere near Philadelphia on October 28th, 1943.
Where was it again?
It was in New York Harbor around then, and then it sailed to Bermuda for training exercises during that period. Returned to New York mid-October, then headed for Casablanca in November. The timeline just fundamentally doesn't work.
That one piece of evidence, the ship's location, it just blows the whole eyewitness account out of the water, doesn't it?
It really does. It undermines the absolute core of Allen's claim to have witnessed it in Philadelphia on that date.
Okay, so if the Eldridge didn't vanish into thin air and reappear in Virginia, what are some of the more plausible, more grounded theories, the ones that try to explain the origin of the legend?
This is where we start finding more reasonable explanations. Theory 2, basically, is that real but mundane experiments on the Eldridge or maybe another ship nearby were misinterpreted or exaggerated over time.
Okay, like what kind of mundane experiments?
Well, we mentioned degassing earlier.
Right, the magnetic signature thing.
Exactly. That involved running very high electrical currents through cables wrapped around the ship's hull. It created strong electromagnetic fields. Now, this wasn't for invisibility.
No.
But it could have potentially produced unusual electrical phenomena, maybe sparks, maybe even a visible glow like St. Elmo's fire under specific atmospheric conditions.
Ah, so maybe someone saw that and later it got twisted into a mysterious green fog.
It's certainly plausible. A visual anomaly connected to electrical equipment misinterpreted years later.
And what about the research into making ships less visible to radar? Could that have played a part?
Absolutely. That's another key part of this theory. The Navy was actively engaged in research to reduce a ship's radar cross-section, experimenting with special coatings, hull shapes designed to deflect radar waves.
Electronic countermeasures, too, jamming and stuff.
Yeah, electronic countermeasures to confuse or jam enemy radar systems. But again, it's critical to understand this was about radar detection, not visual invisibility. So it's entirely possible that individuals might have witnessed some of these tests or heard rumors about making ships invisible, meaning to radar, and later misunderstood the purpose. Maybe conflated it with visual disappearance.
That makes a lot of sense. You hear a snippet about invisibility experiments, and your mind fills in the blanks, especially years later.
Precisely. There's also the possibility, theory 2C, if you like, of classified generator trials.
New generator.
Yeah, maybe testing new, powerful shipboard generators that could have produced unusual sounds, maybe weird electrical effects in a wartime environment with all the secrecy.
People might talk, rumors start.
Exactly. Such events could easily become the subject of speculation and rumor, eventually getting woven into this bigger, more dramatic narrative. Naval historians, skeptics, even the official Navy statements lean towards these kinds of explanations.
Because they align with known WWII research, they don't violate physics.
And, importantly, the actual Eldridge crew members, when asked years later, denied any bizarre events. They remembered routine service. Degaussing, yes.
Yeah.
Weird teleportation, no.
So misinterpreted real events seems like the most plausible explanation.
It's certainly the one with the most grounding in reality. Which leads us to theory number 3, that the whole thing was essentially a hoax or a tall tale.
Spun by Carl Allen himself.
Primarily, yes. That he fabricated the story, maybe as a prank on Jessup, maybe based on some garbled rumors or misunderstood science he'd heard.
What points to that?
Well, Allen's lifestyle, his changing stories, his documented history of embellishment, maybe possible mental health issues. Also, the details in his letters seemed almost tailored to pique Jessup's known interest in UFOs and unconventional physics.
Like he knew what buttons to push.
Potentially. He might also have been influenced by science fiction or other Fortean literature popular at the time. So many skeptics believe it was largely a fabrication, possibly combined with some misinterpretations of real events he might have glimpsed or heard about.
So hoax or misinterpreted reality. Or maybe a mix of both.
Very likely a combination. And then we venture into the really far out territory. Theory 4, the Montauk Project connection.
Oh, yes, Montauk. This is where it gets really wild, isn't it? It feels like once a conspiracy theory gets going, it just keeps expanding.
That's a common pattern. The Montauk Project theory basically says the Philadelphia experiment wasn't an end, but a beginning.
A beginning of what?
The initial step in decades-long top-secret experiments conducted out at a former military base in Montauk, Long Island, supposedly involving time travel, mind control, interdimensional stuff.
Wow, okay.
Figures like Preston Nichols and, perhaps most famously, Al Bielek came forward with elaborate stories. Bielek actually claimed he was a crew member from the Eldridge, Edward Cameron, who time travels from 1943 to 1983 as part of the experiment.
He claimed to be on the Eldridge during the experiment.
Yes, and that the experiment ripped a hole in space-time, connecting to the future Montauk projects. His accounts are incredibly detailed, but completely unsubstantiated.
And how is the Montauk Project theory generally viewed? I mean, outside of its dedicated followers.
It's almost universally dismissed by mainstream researchers and skeptics. There's just no credible evidence. Zero. It relies entirely on anecdotal testimony that is often contradictory, changes over time, and is, frankly, fantastical.
So interesting as a piece of evolving folklore, but not really grounded in anything verifiable.
Exactly. It's a fascinating example of how conspiracy theories can evolve, merge, and build on each other. But it has virtually no basis in established facts related to the Eldridge or actual historical events.
It's still quite remarkable, though, how this one alleged incident, whether hoax or misinterpretation, has had such a massive, far-reaching impact. Let's talk about that legacy, its influence on popular culture.
Oh, it's huge. Huge cultural impact, despite the complete lack of factual foundation. It's really resonated far beyond the realm of fringe theories, hasn't it?
Definitely. The most obvious example is probably the movie, right?
Absolutely. The 1984 movie, The Philadelphia Experiment, that really cemented the legend in the public consciousness, vividly brought it to life for a mass audience, even got a sequel years later.
Yeah, I remember that movie. Pretty cheesy, but memorable.
It was. But its influence extends much further. You can see echoes, thematic echoes of the Philadelphia Experiment in countless other science fiction films and TV shows.
Like what?
Anything exploring ideas of invisibility, teleportation, secret military experiments gone wrong. Think about series like The X-Files.
Oh, for sure. Classic X-Files fodder.
Fringe, which dealt heavily with fringe science and ultimate realities. Even more recent hits like Stranger Things, with its secret government labs and unintended consequences.
Yeah, the Hawkins lab stuff.
And the Disney Plus series Loki even had a scene where the TVA apparently pruned the Eldridge right out of existence, a direct visual nod.
Huh. No way.
Yep, these all tap into similar anxieties and fascinations, the government doing secret dangerous things that the Philadelphia Experiment legend first ignited.
And it's not just movies and TV, is it? It pops up elsewhere.
That's correct. Numerous books, both fiction and those presented as pseudo-history, have delved into and expanded upon the story. You find references in music, bands writing songs about it.
And video games, too, I bet.
Several video games have included plot points or settings directly inspired by the legend. It's just sort of permeated the sci-fi and conspiracy-minded corners of culture.
It's almost become like a foundational myth within the landscape of conspiracy theories, a cornerstone.
Precisely. It serves as a key example, a go-to reference for people who believe in secret military tech, massive government cover-ups, suppressed science, all that.
It perfectly encapsulates that fear, doesn't it? That powerful entities might be hiding incredible, maybe dangerous knowledge.
It does. And like many compelling urban legends, it periodically resurfaces online. gets rediscovered by new generations who stumble across it on YouTube or forums and get sucked into the mystery.
The truth they don't want you to know.
Exactly that kind of thing. You still find active discussions, endless videos unraveling the truth behind it all.
It's become this strange shared cultural touchstone, hasn't it? Even if people don't literally believe it, they know the story.
Exactly. It's a shared point of reference for anyone interested in the weird, the unexplained. It represents that intriguing intersection of historical context, wartime secrecy, persistent speculation, and just the enduring human fascination with the extraordinary and the unknown.
Okay, let's get into some of those deep cuts, the specific details that add layers or maybe confusion to this whole story.
Sure.
For instance, Carl Allen's real name and background. We know Carlos Miguel Allende was an alias.
Right. His given name was Carl Meredith Allen, born in 1925. He definitely had a knack for correspondence, writing these long, often strange letters. By many accounts, he possessed a very vivid imagination.
A tendency to embellish.
Yeah, that seems to be the consensus, yeah. Frequently embellished his narratives. This documented tendency towards colorful storytelling is, a crucial factor when you're evaluating how reliable his claims actually were.
And Morris K. Jessup, the astronomer who kind of kicked this off unintentionally with his UFO book. His story ends rather sadly.
Yes, it does. Jessup's life took a downturn after his book didn't get the scientific recognition he hoped for. He faced personal and professional setbacks. Tragically, he died by suicide in 1959.
And of course, the conspiracy theories popped up around that too, right? That he was silenced.
Oh, inevitably. Theories abound the shadowy agent silenced him for knowing too much about the experiment. But the available evidence strongly suggests it was a tragic outcome of severe depression and disillusionment.
The annotated Varro edition of Jessup's book, that sounds like such a bizarre artifact.
It truly is. The ONR commissions this tiny print run, maybe 25 to 100 copies, of Jessup's book, including Allen's letters and all those weird multicolored annotations.
Printed by the Varro Manufacturing Company, hence the name.
Exactly. These copies are incredibly rare now, highly sought-after collector's items. And the whole presentation, different colored inks, the distinct writing styles attributed to Mr. A, Mr. B, Jamai, it just deepened the mystery.
Made it feel more cryptic, more significant than maybe it was.
Absolutely. It further fueled speculation about hidden meanings and clandestine involvement. It was like concrete evidence, even if no one knew what it evidenced.
Now let's nail down the actual logbook info for the USS Eldridge. What does it definitively say about its location in October 1943?
Okay, the official records, the ship's logbook, are crystal clear, and they flatly contradict Allen's central claim.
No Philly on October 28th.
Not even close. The logbook shows the ship was commissioned in New York City in late August 43, stayed in the New York harbor area until mid-September, then sailed to Bermuda for extensive training exercises, shakedown cruise that lasted until mid-October.
So it was near Bermuda then?
During the alleged experiment date time frame, yes, it was either in Bermuda or en route back to New York. It returned to New York on October 18th. Then, in early November, it joined a convoy, UGS-22, and departed for Casablanca, North Africa.
So zero chance it was in Philadelphia undergoing CPRO invisibility tests on October 28th.
Based on the official Navy records, absolutely zero chance. While it's possible the ship might have been in the Philadelphia area briefly before its official commissioning in August, the timeline simply does not align at all with the dramatic events described by Allen for late October.
That's a massive, verifiable piece of evidence against the legend.
It's probably the single most important piece.
It's interesting, though, about the SS Andrew Furuseth, the merchant ship Allen claimed to be on. There's a tiny kernel of truth there.
Yes, that part checks out, partially.
Yeah.
The SS Andrew Furuseth was a real merchant vessel, and Carl Allen did serve in the Merchant Marine during World War II.
Oh.
And records indicate that the Furuseth was actually part of the same convoy, UGS-22, as the USS Eldridge when it left New York in early November 1943, heading for the Mediterranean.
Ah. So he was near the Eldridge, just not when or where he said.
Exactly. This raises the very real possibility that Allen did see the Eldridge then, in that convoy leaving New York in November, or maybe at another time, and that his later memories got jumbled.
He misremembered the dates, the location.
And then maybe embellished the whole thing with these extraordinary details he picked up from sci-fi or wherever. It suggests a possible origin rooted in a real sighting, but distorted significantly over time.
Okay, that makes sense. And finally, what about the guys who actually served on the USS Eldridge? The crew themselves, what did they say?
Well, in 1999, there was a reunion of veterans who had served aboard the Eldridge. They were asked about the legend, of course.
Yeah.
Their reaction was largely one of, well, amusement mixed with maybe some exasperation. They categorically denied that any incidents of invisibility or teleportation ever occurred during their time on the ship. Full stop.
They just remembered normal service.
Pretty much. Their collective accounts align perfectly with the official ship's logs. Routine patrols, convoy duty, degaussing checks, normal wartime stuff. No green fog, no teleporting, no fused crewmates. It provides further strong evidence against the core claims.
And the whole Einstein connection,
Yeah.
using his unified field theory.
Completely baseless. There is absolutely zero credible evidence connecting Albert Einstein to any such project. It seems like his name and his theoretical work were just invoked to lend some kind of pseudoscientific gravitas to an already outlandish story.
Right, throw Einstein's name in there and it sounds more plausible, maybe.
That seems to be the idea.
So, as we wrap up this historic road trip into the, well, truly perplexing case of the Philadelphia experiment, what are the key takeaways? What have we really uncovered for everyone listening?
I think we've seen how a really captivating story can be woven together from different threads. You've got genuine wartime anxieties, you've got misinterpretations of real science and technology.
Like degaussing or radar tests.
Exactly. And then you probably have a deliberate element of fabrication, likely from Carl Allen. So while the really dramatic tale's the vanishing ship, the fused sailors remain firmly in the realm of legend.
Pure fiction.
Pure fiction, yeah. The enduring persistence of this story is, in itself, a really fascinating historical phenomenon. It tells us a lot about our collective imagination, maybe our willingness to believe the extraordinary.
So listeners should now have a much clearer understanding of the core claims, the historical context they popped up in, the different theories from mundane to Montauk, and the surprising cultural impact this myth has had.
Hopefully, yeah.
Right.
You're now equipped to approach discussions about the Philadelphia experiment with a more critical perspective. You can appreciate the allure of good mystery, a good story.
Because it is a good story.
It is. But also understand the crucial importance of checking against verifiable facts, like ship logs and contemporary accounts.
This historic road trip through the history books and uncovered sources leaves us with maybe a provocative thought to ponder.
I think so. What other seemingly unbelievable stories from the past might have similar roots? Real events, mixed with misinterpretations, maybe some wishful thinking, and our enduring human fascination with the impossible, especially during times of great uncertainty, like war.
What does the Philadelphia experiment really tell us about our desire to believe, about the power of a story versus the power of evidence?
Good questions to chew on. What makes certain narratives stick even when debunked?
Definitely something to think about. Thank you for joining us on this historic road trip into the strange history of the Philadelphia experiment. We hope this exploration has sparked your curiosity and given you some clarity.
Let us know your thoughts, or suggest other historical mysteries you'd like us to tackle.
Until our next journey into the fascinating world of flash culture, keep questioning, keep learning, and keep those historical fires burning.